Hi guys, once again welcome back to our FIFA World Cup daily show, and we have got our first team, for the round of 16 as well. That is obviously Canada, of course, aging past South Africa with the last minute winning goal, and of course, lot of games to go, a lot of round of 32 games to go, and of course tonight it's between Brazil versus Japan, one of the match to watch out for, and still question lingers whether Neymar will play full 90 minutes or not. Still there are doubts over Rafinha. So a lot of things to talk about, and also we'll look back in the in the group stage games as well. There are a few pointers to talk about as well. I'm joined by Shomnath and Devashizda. First, I will start with Shomnath. Shomnath, what do you make of that game between Canada and South Africa? Because South Africa for the first time they qualified into the knockout, but their fairy tale story ended with a defeat to Canada, and also the host nation Canada really been performing well so far at this World Cup.
Obviously, it has been a great match altogether. If you see the entire match, we didn't know that which team will have the last laugh. And in the dying minutes, in the 92nd minute, Canada scored the ultimate goal, scored the decisive goal, and it was just enough to send them to the round of 16. And obviously, if you talk about Canada in this World Cup, they absolutely deserve this, I think, because till now this World Cup has had three hat tricks. So, and one of them came from Jonathan David, the Canadian striker. So obviously, the kind of football they played, they have won matches. With high score line, they have defeated teams. So absolutely, and it is always great to watch that teams from other continents apart from South America, Europe, Africa, they are playing well. They are going to the knockout rounds. So obviously, Canada is the first team which qualifies for the round of 16, and obviously for South Africa after 2010, this was their first World Cup, and obviously, from the group stages, after the first match, against Mexico, everybody thought that South Africa was not that good of a team who can, go to the knockout stage. But obviously, South Africa, they after the first match, they bounced back. They bounced back good. They obviously fought for their place, and eventually they landed in the round of 32. But obviously, in a very very tight match, the South Africa and Canada match was absolutely very tight match, and there was just only one goal of a difference, and which was scored by obviously Canada in the 92nd minute. And I think South Africa will keep their heads high the way they fought in this tournament, and obviously in this 48 country format, they will look to represent their country again at this stage in the next edition.
Absolutely, and of course, before going into another round of 32 clash between Brazil and Japan, a lot of things to talk about that fixture because Japan are yet to win a knockout game in this World Cup. Of course, they have qualified for the knockout round in the World Cup multiple times, but they are still in search of their first knockout win. So God knows, maybe they may pull off an upset against Brazil. But before that, Debash, why not we talk about the incredible story of Cabo Verde so far at this World Cup? I mean, uh, I think the first nation, to qualify for the knockout with three consecutive draw, after Chile, and now they will be facing Argentina. And also, you'll have to keep in mind that they have qualified, from a group of death, in a group consisting of teams like Spain, then Uruguay, then Saudi Arabia. So, what's your expectation from the round of 32 fixture between Argentina and Cabo Verde?
Route before going into Cabo Verde, I would like to just pinpoint one thing, which we discussed at the start of this show, that the success of African nations, 9 out of 10 nations have qualified, and that itself
Absolutely.
speaks volumes about the success. Even in fact, the African football president Patrice Motsepe, he spoke highly about the investment in youth, the club structure, the coaching, and the infrastructure, which unlikely has been missing in Asian countries. Only Japan and Australia have qualified. But if you look at except for Iran, I would say Iran was really they played well. But unfortunately, because of unfortunate circumstances, they have to make their way out. But having said that, when it comes to African nations and South Africa's, yes, they in fact they could have, and then they put up a great fight against Canada, but only losing out in that dying moment. But we have to accept the fact that all the African nations, means they have a strike rate of 90%, which is even more greater than the South Latin American countries. So I think that speaks volumes how the African continent. If you look at the African players that play in the European leagues or the various European leagues, I think they outnumber the players from other continent.
True.
So that speaks volumes about South Africa, Africa's emergence as a powerhouse. I would rather go out of the way and say powerhouse, because they look at the performance of Morocco. Means that performance in that first match against Brazil means one winning the hearts of everyone. And when you talk about Cabo Verde drawing the match against Spain, Uruguay, Uruguay in fact had to make is outstate. So I think that speak volumes about Africa's success. And but talking about Cabo Verde's match against Argentina, I think it's going to be very tough. See, realistically, I would rather love to see Vojina as exchanging his jersey with Lionel Messi. I think that would be a perfect picture for Shutterbucks, because everyone would like to, because he has been a great inspirational story for everyone in this World Cup. Yes, there has been a few inconsequential matches, few dead rubbers, but overall, Cabo Verde has been the real success story in this World Cup. A nation, a small nation, to be doing so well. Yes, so lot to look forward to, but I think Argentina are very firm favorite to go through to this round of 16.
Absolutely. Shibam Keshri is also saying that Africa played great at this FIFA World Cup. Absolutely. And it's, big lesson for, teams in Asia as well, because this time only two Asian nations have managed to make it to the knockout round. And uh, Africa have set a, big example for Asia as well, for AFC actually. And we all know, how successful, in AFCON is in Africa. I mean, so many nations taking part in the AFCON. And of course, they have been investing largely in football over the past few decades, and now they are bearing the fruit from that investment. As Devashis mentioned, their president have held the success of African nation at this World Cup. 9 out of 10 nation making it to the next round, obviously it means a lot. And also teams like dear Congo and Ivory Coast, they have proven that 48 team World Cup is actually a valid point made by FIFA actually, because these teams from Africa are not at this World Cup just to make the numbers, but they have got the potential, they have the capability that they are showing at this World Cup so far. Okay, so Shomnath, let's start talking about Brazil versus Japan game tonight. Another high voltage clash. So, what do you think? I mean, the way do you think Brazil is over reliant on this Vinicius Junior and Matheus Cunha, and also the way Japan have evolved over the past few years, especially defeating Brazil in that October friendly, and also the way they have fared in the group stage so far. Do you think the gap between these two teams is really narrow this time?
Obviously, if we talk about Japan, I think this is the best Japanese team. If we compare to the past editions of the World Cup, obviously they are improving. At every World Cup. If you talk about 2018, 2022, they have defeated giants like Germany, Spain, and obviously before this World Cup, they have defeated another football giant, most successful football team ever, Brazil, in a friendly. But you can't compare that Brazilian team with the team which is playing right now, because at that time back in October 2025, I think Carlo Ancelotti, he just took charge of this Brazilian national team. And obviously if you talk about the defense, then it was completely unsettled in that match. The defense which was playing, those players are actually not playing in this World Cup also. Gabriel Magalhaes and obviously Marquinhos, that defensive pair, that imported pair, I think that will be a key factor. But obviously coming to Japan, they have improved a lot. They have improved a lot, and especially if we talk about this team much more, then Japan is a team which is very difficult to beat. Obviously, because we saw Netherlands in the group stages and how dominating fashion they have won matches. And obviously, when we watched the Japan and Netherlands game, Japan came from behind and took a point away from the Netherlands game. So that shows that defeating Japan won't be easy. And obviously, if you take Japan lightly, they can also defeat you as well. But coming to Brazil, obviously, Brazil have a brilliant track record against Asian teams, beat Japan, beat South Korea, and in this fixture, obviously, we will talk about Vinicius Junior. We will talk about Ryan, the midfield Casemiro with Guimaraes, the side backs. But there is one player who have an edge over Japan always. He has played 5 matches. He has scored 9 goals and 3 assists. I mean, that's a huge thing. No, 5 matches, 9 goals. He is none other than Neymar. Neymar holds an incredible record against the Japanese team, and obviously we will see whether he comes in the second half and create a difference or not. Because against these teams, you need someone who has that experience to beat them, exploit the loopholes of the Japanese team. But again, the way they press, the way uh, they they are agile, to be honest, in this style of football, it will be very difficult. And especially when you start the build up of this game, when the defender starts a build up, the Japanese strikers, their coach initiates a very interesting formation, very interesting plan tactic actually, that is called the 4A tactic. For example, when Brazil will start their build-up from the defense, from Gabriel or Marquinhos, a defender's instinct is to pass the ball to the right back, or give it to the midfield, or a long ball to the wings. And obviously, so what we will do, Japan with a 4-4-2 formation, the both the strikers will press both the center backs of Brazil, and after that, the instinct of a defender will be to pass the ball to the side backs. Obviously, that's a safe call. And then what will happen when the ball is passed to the side back, and before that only, one of the side back, be the left back or the right back will be pushed by the left winger, or the left back will be pushed by the right winger. Even before releasing the ball, the winger will start pushing him, and that's where the ball position gets lost, and from that Japan makes the counter attack. And obviously their finishing is also quite good. So this is a very high pressing tactic from Japan. Brazil needs to deal with this. Carlo Ancelotti knows a lot of tactics. That's why he's one of the best in the world. So obviously they have to exploit the loopholes, and hope so. It will be a very close match. I would say Brazil has slight an edge, 55-45 type of edge, but obviously it will be a very close match.
Interesting. So obviously, Japan, can give difficult times to Brazil defenders. But also another interesting point, that is, Brazil actually, former Brazilian players have played a great role in developing Japan football, especially coach like Zico, who was one of the legendary player of Brazil, have played a massive role in Japan football development. He has worked closely with the Japanese club. Also, former player, Brazilian former player Dunga has also has done coaching job in Japan. And also, if you see in Brazil, Japan have their largest diaspora in Brazil. So of course there's a great connection between these two nations. But tonight, I don't think that it will be that kind of connection. Obviously it will be a competition between these two nations, and of course, as Shomnath mentioned, that it will be a close game between Japan and Brazil. But Carlo Ancelotti is saying that he is expecting more minutes from Neymar. So that is, if Brazil fails to open the scoring, obviously first of all the defense need to be intact. But if Brazil fails to open the scoring, then of course Neymar also have a huge role to play. But again, this time, the best thing that happened to Brazil is Vinicius Junior hitting the form at the right time. This is his second World Cup. We all know in the last World Cup was not that great for Vinicius Junior, but this time he's having tournament of his life so far at this World Cup. Devashiza, what's your thoughts on this Brazil versus Japan game? What are you expecting from this clash?
I think with Japan's high pressing football, and they are very fluid. Means they in their counter attack they are very speedy, and so I think there's both the side back, Danilo and Santos will be on their toes. Means every time Japan's get the ball, they put up their men in the attack. So I think that is something to worry about as far as run. And in the game against Morocco, it was exposed. It's not that Brazil defense is rock solid. The Morocco has showed it in that first game against Brazil that this Brazilian defense can be broken. So and Japan will obviously target the counter attack opportunities because they have that speed and the fire and that agility. So a
Yes.
lot will depend in on Japan's tactics. I think it will more so be a counter-attacking approach, because Japan would love to uh, see Brazil not scoring, because if Brazil can score early on, they will put more and more pressure on Japan. So the focus will be to restrict Brazil from scoring at least the first half, and then go and then seize the opportunity whichever way they can. Means, yes, but obviously Brazil, we all know they have their class. They have the class in their own, with the likes of Vinicius Junior, Matthews Cunha has scored goals. Igor Thiago, after that first match, we do not know where Igor Thiago is. Whether he is in that Brazilian dugout, we don't know. But Matthews Cunha has just seized the opportunities. We grabbed the opportunity with both hands, and with Vinicius Junior scoring three goals in 3 matches, that augurs well, and Ryan also coming good. So Rafinha's absence, I won't see that would be missed much. But again, Casemiro has to play a very, very crucial role along with Marquinhos, because Casemiro in the last match, he was not up to the mark. I mean, so I would
Yeah.
say that this is the right match for Brazil to show their class. I'm not saying that they haven't, but apart from that Morocco game, the two opponents, Haiti and Scotland, they are not superpowers in world football by any count. I'm not not disrespecting them, but I would say that this will be the first big match for Brazil, and remember, this is a knockout match. So any lapse from the Brazilian player defense might prove costly for Brazil.
Absolutely, and Japan's head coach is leaving no stone unturned to win this game. He has already said in the press conference that if the game goes into the tiebreaker, then he won't leave it up to his players to decide who will take the shot in the tiebreaker. He will decide himself. The players who will take the tiebreaker shot. And also, obviously, I think Kubo is a big miss for Japan in this clash because he looks doubtful for this match against Brazil. He is injured, just like Brazil will be missing Rafinha's service in this game, but hopefully Ryan, will fill in Rafinha's shoes well for Brazil against Japan. Sports Adda is saying, why is Argentina's path in the World Cup always so smooth? Why does FIFA seem to favor Messi? Why does Messi always face his opponent in the World Cup knockout? Why does FIFA always favor? I'm not sure about this. Why does FIFA always, favor Messi? Uh, yeah, what you I know you have a point that Ronaldo, I mean Portugal's path, looks difficult this time compared to the Argentina, but I think in knockout, not a single game will be easy. I think every game will be close one for sure. I know you were saying that Cape Verde, just a country of population of 5.5 lakh and so behind than Argentina in the FIFA ranking, but I can assure you that Argentina is going to have a difficult times against this Cape Verde. The way they have stopped Spain, the way they have played against Uruguay, for sure they are going to play with their hearts out against Argentina. So just wait and watch this game. You will see that how this knockout game turns out at this World Cup. Somnath, let's shift our focus to few more mouth-watering game that we have in the round of 32. And another one is obviously between Portugal and Croatia. Again, the union of former Real Madrid legends Cristiano Ronaldo and Luka Modric.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great. Obviously, the last time I think these legends will meet each other in national team colors, and obviously for Cristiano Ronaldo, the World Cup has been kind of up and down. Obviously, against Uzbekistan, he was in his scoring boots, but against Colombia, we saw Ronaldo struggling. I would not say Ronaldo was struggling, but yes, obviously you could see the clear difference of Cristiano Ronaldo and his past, his prime and his past, obviously. But obviously, against Croatia, the match won't be easy. Croatia is a team who can play, not that convincing football, but still, they can qualify to the later half of the tournament. We have seen this, and they are, obviously, they are party spoilers in the 2018 World Cup. We have seen they defeated Argentina in the 2022 World Cup. They have knocked out Brazil. So obviously they have a fashion of disappointing the favorites of the game. So obviously it's Portugal now, and again we have said this multiple times in previous lives that Portugal team is one of the most balanced team in this World Cup, but they are not playing like that. Obviously, I mean in the last match versus Colombia in a midfield like Vitinha, having Vitinha I think Ruben Neves played in place of Joao Neves, but still in a midfield like that, a player like James Rodriguez completely dominated that midfield. I mean, a 34-year-old guy who has obviously passed his prime. He just showed his class and kind of grabbed Portugal and obviously didn't let them win. And obviously Colombia had a chance to obviously seal the game, but still they couldn't make it obviously due to that offside call. But yes, Portugal has have been some problems there. Have been some problems with Portugal, but obviously we again saw that nobody is passing the ball to Cristiano Ronaldo. The midfielders are playing among themselves. Obviously, Ronaldo. They thought Ronaldo was not free between the defenders. So obviously, the combination is not again seems bleak, and against Croatia, you won't get such chances because we have seen Croatia, score banger of goals. If you talk about the game against England, England were playing their best game, and still Croatia managed to score, 2 goals out of nowhere against the run of play. So Croatia will come out hard, and Croatia is a team who can, absorb pressure the best. I mean, I was watching the Croatia Ghana game. The way Ghana came at Croatia in the second half, the way they handled the pressure, and obviously they considered a goal, but the way they retaliated with the second goal or the winner goal, it's absolutely brilliant how Croatia manages the pressure. So obviously, it will be a very very big game. I think the most anticipated game in this round of 32, Portugal versus Croatia, and either one of them will move to the later stages of this tournament, and obviously one legend will we have to bid farewell to one legend, either Cristiano Ronaldo or Luka Modric, and this is going to be the end of their illustrious career in their national jersey.
We all know that last edition of the World Cup, it was Croatia who pulled off an upset against the Brazil in the knockout. So Croatia have that potential to pull off an upset against heavyweight teams like Portugal's or Brazil. So let's see how it the fixture turns out. But obviously Portugal, they have been struggling. As sports are the you have rightly mentioned that in Portugal case, Bruno isn't the problem. The real issue is Martinez's style of play. Absolutely, we have all seen it Belgium as well. Of course, in 2018 Belgium team was different, but in the last edition of the World Cup that took place in Qatar, the Belgium team also struggled a bit. I mean, Roberto Martinez formation is bit different tactically because he's play with most of the time he tries to play with three back in the formation. But with this Portugal team, the kind of tool, the element he has, I think it will be best to play with four back in four defenders in his formation. But obviously, it's clear so far, it's evident so far, with Portugal, they have a team, a complete squad, one of the best squad at this World Cup, but still they have failed to reflect that on the performance so far at this stage. So let's see how they fare against Croatia in the knockout. But they were Germany, one of the most successful nation at this World Cup. Of course, finally they have broken the jinx of qualifying into the knockout. So now they will be facing Paraguay. But also we know they suffered a shocking defeat against Ecuador in their final group stage game. So how do you see Germany faring against Paraguay in the knockout?
Yeah, but I will just add something on that Portugal team. I think
Yeah,
last
sure.
match we saw Colombia somewhat bottled Cristiano Ronaldo. He has only one shot
Mm,
on target. So I think that is something Cristiano Ronaldo will not be left open in 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 in
not at
in the
all.
tournament. Means even though he is 41, we all know what he can do on his day, which we witnessed in that match against Uzbekistan. Yes, Uzbekistan as an opponent was not that strong an opponent, but I think none of the teams in the knockout stages will give open space to Cristiano Ronaldo. So therein lies a huge opportunity for and Joao Felix and other players. And I think the key for Portugal will be Nuno Mendes. I think he has been the standout performer. I think easily the best left back in the tournament so far. So I think his overlap will be very crucial, especially in the set piece movement and utilizing his height. I think so. The onus will be on the other players because Ronaldo will be marked. Cristiano Ronaldo will be marked. So the onus will be on the other players to try and create space and try and create opportunities. And this is one area where Portugal has lacked in that game against Colombia, because every team from now on will take a leap out of that Colombia match, because Colombia was very tactical in their approach.
Exactly.
In fact, Colombia dominated that match, dominated that game against Portugal, that last round robin group match. And so I think the whether Cristiano Ronaldo gets that space, or a brilliance from Cristiano Ronaldo might just prove enough for Portugal to take them through to the round of 16. But once again, as I said, as we have been talking, it's going to be very, very crucial, given that Croatia has been gi- giant killers, and they have shown it in the past. Rahul.
Absolutely, and this is the fixtures that you are looking for the round of 32. Of course, one game already over, that is between Canada and South Africa. But then if you see, it's Germany versus Paraguay, and the winner of this game will face the winner of the game between France and Sweden. And next, South Africa Canada is already over, but tonight we are waiting for this match between Netherlands and Morocco. Another, I think it will be a mouth-watering fixture. And then it's Portugal versus Croatia and Spain versus Austria. The winner, I mean, of course, Spain are most likely to get past Austria, and then they will face anyone between Portugal and Croatia. I'm not sure who will exactly win between Portugal and Croatia, because the kind of form Portugal is in currently really looks doubtful. But then USA, Bosnia, and Belgium versus Senegal. This is a game I'm also looking out for, because Belgium have also struggled a bit in the group stage. Senegal, they were also not convincing in the first two games, but they have hit their form at the right moment to qualify for the knockout. And Brazil versus Japan, we have already discussed, and the winner of this match will face anyone between Ivory Coast and Norway. It will be also a great game, because African nation who are very well accustomed to this extreme heat and weather condition of USA, so they are going to give tough challenge to Norway. Though Norway have been superb so far, except that final group stage game against France. So I think Erling Haaland, obviously, going to face superior physical challenge against this Ivorian defenders for sure. But Shomnath, I will end with you with this, with your comments on this match between Netherlands and Morocco, because Morocco, they are the semi-finalist of last edition. Netherlands also, so far they have been impressive at this World Cup, and also they are one of the heavyweights so far, have proven themselves as one of the contenders so far, the way they have been playing. So what do you think, who will get knockout from this fixture?
Obviously, before starting to talk about this match, just a quick stat again. First for Netherlands and then for Morocco. Uh, After 2006, Netherlands has been unbeaten in the 90 minutes format of the game. Obviously, if you see to 2010, 2014, 2018, 2022, they have never lost a game within those 90 minutes. I mean, for example, in 2010 they have lost the final in extra time. In 2022 they have lost against Argentina in the tiebreakers, but within that 90 minutes they are never defeated after 2006. So I think this is a brilliant stat, and this shows that the Netherlands team, how difficult it is to beat this Netherlands team, obviously. And if you talk about Morocco, another interesting stat: in the last 48 games of this Morocco team, they have only faced defeat just once. So in the last 48 games, just one loss and 47 win and draws. But obviously, they were undefeated in those 47 games. So this shows that how difficult these both teams are, to defeat. And also, it will be a very, very interesting game, that who will, surrender first, who will accept defeat first. And these two teams, they never like to lose, actually. So Netherlands, again, a team which is looking brilliant. Actually, we have never thought that Netherlands will be so good in this World Cup. Obviously, every player is clicking magnificently. If we talk about the defense, obviously, the both the center back pairing of Virgil and Van Dijk, and the other defender Van Hecke. And if you talk about the right back Dumfries, if you talk about the midfield with Frankie De Jong, if you talk about both the wings, then obviously Cody Gakpo, he's on fire. In club football, Gakpo may be sometimes off, sometimes on, but in national colors, he is one of the best. And again, if we talk about the wing, Summerville, the way he was playing in the first match, and then in the second and third match, he came as a substitute. and the kind of impact he is showing is absolutely unbelievable. And the striker problem of this Netherlands team is also sorted. The way Bobby is playing, they scored goals in the second match, in third match. So obviously, the Netherlands is one of the best side in this World Cup and one of the contenders for sure. But again, if you talk about Morocco, a very underrated team, a very young Moroccan team actually in the defense. The two pivots, they actually, one is 18-year-old and one is 24 years old. So a very young Moroccan midfield with Boudadi, a striker like Saibari, obviously a leader like Ashraf Hakimi, Bono in the goal. So obviously, this Moroccan side also looks very solid. It will be very interesting for me. Netherlands, just like the Japan and Brazil, the Netherlands will have the edge. I think again it's 55-45, but again you can't rule out Morocco ever. And the way they have finished the World Cup in 2022, obviously it won't be a surprise if Morocco goes past the round of 32 and then the round of 16. And absolutely, these two will be very interesting matches.
Absolutely. Games to watch out for. Tonight it's Brazil versus Japan. And of course, you guys can share your prediction below in the comment sections, and we'll end our show on that note. Thanks a lot to Shomnath and Devashita for joining us, and also Sports Addas for your valuable inputs in the comment section. So that's it for now. Of course, tomorrow we'll be back again to discuss Brazil versus Japan and also the Germany versus Paraguay game. Thanks for watching. See you in our next show.